Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, this is the live stream that I want to do about Phil from the Advise Show. I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to tune in before I get started. There may be some internet issues in a condo out of state somewhere on business travel. So hopefully it'll go through. Hopefully people will be able to tune in. I see a couple of people have tuned in already. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. Shout out to DJ Wiz 76. If you can hear me, just throw out the ones. I just want to make sure I'm coming through loudly and clearly before I get started. So if you can hear me fine, throw up the ones. Shout out to Soup Bone. All right, so DJ Wiz 76 said he could hear me. Okay, Soup Bone says we can hear you. All right, so we're gonna get started. I listened to Phil from the Advice Show's fake apology, and I want to talk about it in this video right here. What I want to do is go through a lot of his comments one by one. He made a lot of points during his live stream or during his video, and I just want to take some time to respond to each and everything that he said in that video. Now, the first thing that he said is that people knew his wife was Hispanic, and a lot of people did know that his wife was Hispanic. But the thing is, they didn't know that she was a white Hispanic. That's the thing. That's where you make the distinction. And he acknowledges that he gave false information. He acknowledges that he told people that his wife was black and Native American. He acknowledges that he said that. So he acknowledges that he made deliberate misrepresentations about his wife's ethnicity. So that's what the big deal is. Hispanic can include black people, it can include Native people, it can include a wide range of people, a wide range of different types of races. So the fact that people may have known that his wife was Hispanic doesn't resolve the issue. Many people thought that she was a black Hispanic based on his own statements, and he acknowledges that he made misrepresentations about that. So that's part of the reason why this is a big deal. Now, he also made this point about his wife identifying as a Native American as if somehow that makes the situation different. I mean, the fact of the matter is, her appearance speaks much more loudly than any statement that he can make. She looks like a white woman, she looks European for all intents and purposes. And the fact that, even if you were to say that he's correct when he says that she's a Native American, that doesn't change the situation at all. It's still him in an interracial relationship, regardless. That doesn't mean that he's no longer in an interracial relationship, that, the issues of him condemning interracial relationships, but yet being in one, that issue's not resolved by his claim that his wife is Native American. So that's one thing. And then he went on to talk about how his wife doesn't identify as white. He talked about how she didn't want to be attached to anything associated with white supremacy. She doesn't like white supremacy and all that kind of stuff. That's what he said. That doesn't change her identity. That doesn't change the way she looks. She looks, again, like a white woman. Now, he went on to talk about like how there were videos after videos about him. And he went on to talk about how, well, maybe, people were making this such a big deal out of this. You would think he killed a whole bunch of black people. The reason why this is getting a lot of attention is because you have been exposed as a hypocrite. That's why it's such a big deal. If this was just your average Joe Blow on the street or your average YouTuber that just did content, just regular content, and wasn't out here, condemning interracial relationships, wasn't out here on some pro-black charade pretending to be some black power advocate when you're not. If you were just a regular person, this wouldn't even be a big deal. Nobody would even be talking about this. If you had a channel that was dedicated to weightlifting, or a channel that's even the channel dedicated to giving men advice, like, one of these other shows like O'Shea or, Angry Man, or one of these other, people in the so-called manosphere, nobody would be talking about this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, you're one of these people that do these videos condemning interracial relationships, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later. You on here, you use your platform to highlight people that harshly oppose interracial relationships. You got people from the Nation of Islam on your program. You got a Cynthia G whose whole channel is centered around opposing interracial relationships. You even had like Radical Home Sister on your channel as well, who opposes interracial relationships. You're on record doing video after video opposing interracial relationships, and you wonder why people are calling you out for your hypocrisy. So that's one thing, that's one thing that I wanted to highlight. Also, you talked about how if the roles were reversed, and I'm going to get to your comments in a second, everyone, after I go through this commentary. But you talked about how if things were reversed, for instance, if, a white YouTuber was outed for having a black wife or something like that, that there would be all this controversy, that black people would be condemning those white people who called out that white person for being with a black person. We would call them racist and white supremacists, et cetera, et cetera. Well, first of all, it's a false equivalency. I mean, number one, black people aren't in a position to be racist. We don't have any political power, so that's the first thing. So there's no equivalency there. The second thing is this, man. If it was just some the thing that would make it a big deal is if that was, for instance, a white supremacist who had a channel where he's talking about how evil interracial relationships there are and all that kind of stuff, and how much he's against black people and this and that, but then he's married to a black person, then those white people would be justified in having some kind of out calling that person out for their hypocrisy. They would be justified in doing that, just like we are justified right now in calling you out for your hypocrisy, doing video after video talking about interracial relationships when you're in one, doing video after video talking about the interracial relationship agenda when you're in an interracial relationship. um, you know, Basically trying to call out these women who are into the swirling thing when you're into swirling. And we're gonna get into your fake way to weasel out of that whole hypocrisy in a minute. But in terms of the reversal of roles, you know, it would be um, those people would be justified in calling out a white person, for instance, who posed as a white supremacist and posed as if they didn't like black people in interracial relationships and they were in an interracial relationship. It would be analogous to this situation, and those people would be justified in calling out that person. So, it wouldn't be a reversal, a reversal situation where we would look at them as, you know, um, you know, as something's wrong with them. The fact is, they will be calling out hypocrisy. The other thing is this: you talked about how it's not a good look for black people, basically suggesting that black people are racist for calling you out for this. I mean, first of all, there's nothing racist about preferring to be with your own, for promoting black love, the idea that black men should be with black women and vice versa. There's nothing wrong with that. That's natural. That's nature. That's how things are supposed to be. It's natural for black people to love their own. There's nothing racist about that, and there's nothing racist about black people calling you out on your nonsense. It's nothing racist about black people calling you out on your hypocrisy. And basically, what you're trying to do is guilt trip black people and deflect from the real issue by trying to get somebody into some discussion about what white people are doing on white channels. So, and then one thing that I noticed throughout his commentary, he was trying to shame black people for calling him out for his hypocrisy by making it seem like black people were the ones looking bad by calling them out for this. When the fact of the matter is, you are the one that looked bad for lying to the people, for you admitted that you lied to the people when you put out that tweet saying that your wife was African American and Native American. You admitted that you lied. So let's continue on. And then this guy talked about how people are only talking about him for AdSense dollars and for views and all that kind of stuff. First of all, most people do. I mean, the reason why people do videos is because they have, obviously they have a message that they want to convey, but they obviously want to get views when they put out videos. They don't just put out videos for the sake of putting them out. I mean, if that were the case, people could just have a private conversation with their friends and share their views. They put out their opinions so that they can get watched and so that people can have a dialogue with them. So all of us who are on YouTube are trying to get views and attention brought to our channel. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, for this person to be calling people out for using for using his name or whatever to get views, it's crazy because this man, that's all he does is use other people's names to get views. Just like a lot of these people, I mean, when he follows these news stories, he's using other people's names to get views. He's following trending topics so that he can get views. He's putting celebrities' names in his mouth and on his titles so he can get views. But yet, when black people call him out for his stuff, I mean, all of a sudden it's a problem when that's what that man does constantly on his channel. I remember he had videos calling out Umar Johnson for his hypocrisy, calling out Umar Johnson for not using the money that he raised for the school. So he calls people out. He has no problem calling people out. He has no problem using people's names all up in his titles. But when the things are reversed and people have his name in their titles, all of a sudden it's a problem. When people are holding him accountable, all of a sudden it's a problem. But he has no problem holding everybody else accountable. So now that the shoe is on the other foot, he has a problem with it. And that's nothing but hypocrisy, man. That's all it is. And really, I don't think that most people that are talking about this are not motivated by just some AdSense dollars and views. They are motivated because this is a blatant and obvious example of hypocrisy. That's why people are talking about this. That's why it has black YouTube on fire because you're a liar. I mean, you are a hypocrite. You are a joke and a clown. That's why everybody's talking about this. And I'll just say this before I go on. Like he mentioned a couple of people, who supported him or whatever, who continue to support him and stuff like that. And the thing I'll say about that is this: you have some YouTubers who are politicking, man. That's all they're doing. They're trying to position themselves in such a way that they can work with you so that they can expand their own platform. So they're more concerned about maintaining a relationship with somebody that has 800 and something 800 and something thousand subscribers than they are concerned about the hypocrisy. They're more concerned about maintaining that good relationship so that they can build their audience. And to a degree, I understand why that's the case. I understand why people would think like that in terms of trying to grow their channel and stuff like that. But for me, while views are important, nobody's going to deny that views aren't important and subs aren't important. For me, principle is more important. And I have to call out hypocrisy. I have to call out people that are liars and stuff, especially when they scam the communities. These same people that that scam the community are the same people that want to call out the pastors for scamming the community. These are the same people that want to call out the pastors for their hypocrisy. They want to call them out, but when it's time for them to look at the man in the mirror, all of a sudden they got a problem with people holding them accountable. All of a sudden they want to guilt trip people and make people ashamed for calling them out. They want to turn the tables and make you seem like you're the bad guy for calling out their hypocrisy and blatant lies. So, yeah, so that's what's up with that. And then, he said I should have been up more up front. I'm a private person. And we get that people are private. Like, I understand why people are private, why they don't show their, like they may not publicly expose, their wives and show their kids and all that kind of stuff. I get that. But I don't get someone making up outright lies. I don't get someone putting up a complete front. and a fraud, pretending to be something they're not, running around here with Africa shirts on with the black fists on them, using the imagery of black nationalism when they don't believe in black nationalism, talking about white supremacy this, white supremacy that, and they going to bed with white supremacy. I don't get that. You know, I don't get that kind of hypocrisy, man. I get privacy, but I don't get hypocrisy. And that's the problem. That's what this man doesn't seem to understand. He talked about how he didn't realize that he had to put his wife up there so that he can get some approval from black people. I mean, the statements that this man makes are just so like incredible and so ridiculous, man. The fact of the matter is, again, here's a guy who has a channel condemning interracial relationships, and he doesn't think that his wife's ethnicity matters when he's throwing stones at all these people. He's living in a glass house throwing all kinds of stones. Come on, man. He got people on his show like Chris LeCares scrutinizing her and this and that. When he's living like this, just bear with me a second. Let's see what other things he said. He said, I didn't know that speaking on black issues or issues dealing with the black community would require that my wife get the approval of the black community, or that my wife be, black and all that kind of stuff. This is not about somebody just speaking on black issues. This is not, just somebody reporting the news. This is somebody pretending to be like, against interracial relationship. This is somebody pretending to be about promoting black love. This is somebody who actually went after people, for being in these interracial relationships. That's what it's about. I mean, you can't do that and be involved in that stuff yourself. So let me continue on. Just bear with me 1 second. And then he talked about like how nobody would be talking about him if he didn't have, all these subs and all that kind of stuff. That's the main reason why people are talking about him. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. If you didn't have an audience and you were a non-factor, it wouldn't be a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, you have close to 1 million subscribers, man. You have influence and you have an impact. So what you say is matter. What you say on here matters. What you do on here matters, and your hypocrisy matters. I mean, these people want all of the benefits of leadership, and whether they like it or not, they're leaders. You are influencing people by gathering such an audience, gathering hundreds of thousands of people. You are an influencer. You are a leader, whether you like to be one or not. They want all the benefits of leadership. Like, they want the AdSense dollars, they want the subscribers, they want the views, but they don't want any kind of accountability. They don't want the responsibility of leadership. That's why they are so quick to disclaim being pro-black, because they know that with that title comes responsibility. They know that with that title comes accountability. They know that with that leadership title comes responsibility and accountability, and they don't want to deal with that. They just want the money to just keep flowing in without any kind of responsibility. They want to be able to do what they want while they criticize and judge others for what they do and for what they say. And that's what this man has done. I mean, he criticizes, all these other people doing these videos about interracial relationships. But then when it's his turn to be criticized, all of a sudden he has a problem with it. All of a sudden he's whining and crying and this and that. I mean, that's why it's hard to take these people seriously, man. It is really hard to take somebody seriously that rails against white supremacy while they lay up with white supremacy. It's hard to take somebody like that seriously. It's hard to take somebody seriously that's got their fists in the air and they're going to Africa, they're going to Ethiopia while they're laying up with a white woman. It's hard to take them seriously, man. It's hard to take somebody seriously that talks all this black power stuff and they're making all these dollars off of AdSense or whatever, and through Patreon, and the money's being funneled to their white wife. Um, but they want to have you thinking it's about black empowerment. They want to have you thinking that they're about black love and all this and that when they're not. Man, it's just so frustrating. And then he brought up this whole thing about Colin Kaepernick. Again, another deflection. I mean, his whole video was nothing but deflection. That's all it was. Deflection after deflection. So he brought up this deflection about Colin Kaepernick. Said, well, you're holding me to a higher standard than you're holding Colin Kaepernick to. He said, well, Colin Kaepernick is not black, first of all. He's biracial. And then he said, well, Colin Kaepernick's with a Arab woman. So why are you not, attacking him basically like you're attacking me? That's basically what he was suggesting. Why are you, respecting Colin Kaepernick and you're dogging me for being with this white Hispanic? And the fact of the matter is, Colin Kaepernick is not in the same situation as you, man. I mean, Colin Kaepernick doesn't have some YouTube channel where he's talking about some black love. Colin Kaepernick is not on here, in the media condemning interracial relationships. Colin Kaepernick, just like any other responsible citizen, is speaking out against police brutality. Speaking out against police brutality is something that anybody can do of any race and any ethnicity. So knock it off with the deflection, man. Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a damn thing to do with this discussion. That's just a deflection. Um, and I already mentioned the point about him like deliberately lying about about his wife's ethnicity, talking about she's some African American, she's mixed with black and Native American and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he admits that he lied about this. He's tried to come up with the lame excuse that she told him. He basically threw his wife under the bus and said she told him that there was some black in her family. Then he went on to say, well, there are some people in her family that look black and this and that. Like all this nonsense, man. Looking at that woman, it's obvious that she don't have an ounce of black blood in her, man. If she does, it's like so de minimis, so marginal that it's hardly detectable, man. I mean, she looks like a white Hispanic, no matter what this guy says. So, yeah, so I just had to express that. And then he was talking about like how he was under pressure, and he said that he should not have made that tweet. Yeah, obviously he shouldn't have made that because it was an outright lie. It's an outright lie, and the people have every right to call you out on your lies. Then he went on to talk about how some people are siding with white supremacists. He talked about how, they're white supremacists commenting on his video, and you got people thumbing him up and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's true. I frankly think it's just another deflection to have people focusing on these mysterious white supremacists instead of focusing on this man and his BS and his lies and his deception and his hypocrisy. That's what I think it's about. And then this guy offered this fake ass apology, where somebody says, well, I'm sorry if you felt that way. Instead of like being genuine, instead of saying, well, I apologize for lying to y'all. I apologize to y'all for pretending like I oppose interracial relationships when I don't. I apologize to y'all for pretending to be like some black nationalist type figure when I'm really all about integrationism or integration. So, he offered this half-hearted apology that wasn't really an apology. It was just him saying, well, I'm sorry if you felt like something was wrong, even though nothing was really wrong. That type of thing. When somebody offers an arrogant type of half-hearted apology, and that's what he offered. And I just think that that's weak, man. And, it's just a shame that people will continue to support this guy. They will continue to support him. He has nothing to worry about. He still has his 800 plus subscribers and will probably hit 1 million sometime. People will still support him. As other people have said, like they supported Umar Johnson, even though after all these years, there's no school in sight. Even though he presented himself as some celibate man that was living this right life and all this and that when he wasn't. I mean, just like they forgave Boyce Watkins when he admitted, when he had to deal with this Charles Wu controversy where he basically was outed as some pitch man for an Asian guy after, presenting all this talk about economic empowerment. Just like after Brother Polite scammed all those people out of all those dollars, offered them goods and services that he never provided and just scammed people out of his money, you know, you're gonna still have people supporting this guy, Phil, from the Advice Show. And what he did is not as bad as what those other people did, but you get the point. Just like they continue to support Eddie Long until the day he died. Just like these people continue to support Tommy Sotomayor after he never produced his film, after raising all that money from people, after scamming all those people out of their money. But so it is what it is, man. And I would say more, but it's got to be going off topic, man. Um, and it's to some degree, like I can understand why people would be enamored by charisma. Like why they would get all caught up in charisma of somebody, like somebody's ability to speak well or to articulate themselves well or speak in a moving and emotional kind of way. I can understand how people could get wrapped up in that type of situation. But here you don't have that. I mean, this guy doesn't have like that kind of charisma. But nonetheless, people are gonna still be watching this guy. They're gonna still support him just like they supported all these other people. So let's see. And then the next thing he talked about, he tried to say, well, everybody in their lifetime is going to have some moments of being hypocritical or being, making a false statement or a lie or whatever. Again, trying to deflect, again, trying to make people feel sympathetic toward him and all that kind of stuff without really just outright calling for people to acknowledge what he said, acknowledge that he made, instead of him just acknowledging that he made false statements, acknowledging that that was wrong, acknowledging that he's a hypocrite on this interracial thing. This guy instead wants to guilt trip people about how they are hypocritical too, and about how they have made some false statements in their lifetime. And then, one of the dumbest things he said on here, and some people will buy into it, is this whole thing about his position on these interracial relationships. He said, well, yeah, I did speak out against interracial relationships, but if you listen closely, I was just talking about relationships between black people and white people. I wasn't talking about relationships between black people with Asians or black people with Hispanics or black people with Arabs. That's the lame ass excuse he expects y'all to believe. I mean, does this man think black people are stupid or what? I mean, does this man think that we're that gullible, that clueless, that we would just believe that? And maybe some of the people are, man. And maybe that's why some of the people continue to support this man. So somebody just said, like Phil said his wife wasn't black years ago. So how did he lie? Again, I just told you. He said he acknowledged that he put out a tweet where he said that she was black and Native American. That's how he lied. I mean, come on, man. And y'all know very well that throughout, all on YouTube, people were suggesting that his wife was Afro Latino. Come on, man. So so get out of here with that nonsense, man. You know what this is about. You know why this is a big deal. Quit pretending to be ignorant. You know what's going on. And then he talked about like how he has the right to progress and change and evolve and all that kind of stuff. He basically said, well, people are bringing up some old interview that he did with this white woman where he was talking about people hating on black men who date interracially and stuff like that. And my response to that is this, man. First of all, it exposes who you are, who you really are, because that person in that interview that was basically talking about how people are hating on black men for dating interracially, that's the real you. This other person that you pretend to be, this person that's pro-black and this on this black love rhetoric and opposing interracial relationships, that's a facade. That's the mask that you wear because you know that that's popular here on YouTube. The real you is that person that did that interview talking about people hating on black men that date interracially. And, you know, and the reason why I can say that is because of your statements recently about you and this white Hispanic you're married to. And the fact that you hit it speaks volumes in and of itself. So, another example of deflection that this guy used was this whole thing about black people are going after him, but they're not going after you know the Asian. They won't deal with the Asians. They won't deal with Amy Geiger and Arabs and Indians. He's an easy target. I mean, first of all, that's nonsense because a lot of the people on here that are criticizing you are the same people that speak about those kind of issues. Like myself, I talk about all this kind of stuff. I deal with and fight against racism on a real level beyond just talking about it here on YouTube. And a lot of us do. A lot of us deal with those issues, but we can also deal with your issue. And don't try to deflect the conversation into some tangent about what Asians are doing or what Arabs are doing and this and that. The fact of the matter is, people are doing many videos on those subjects, and they have every right to call you out on your hypocrisy, just like you never miss an opportunity to call out other people on their hypocrisy. So, and then he claimed that people never made this many videos about people being murdered in the black community, but they're doing a lot of videos about him. Again, that's nonsense. There are plenty of videos on here about Trayvon Martin. There are plenty of videos on here about Walter Scott. There are plenty of videos on here about Philando Castile. There are plenty of videos on here about all the victims of police brutality in this country. So miss me with the nonsense. Miss us with that nonsense, man. Run that game on somebody else because we don't believe it, man. We know what's going on. We know you're just trying to shame black people and deflect from the real subject. Now, the fact of the matter is, like at the end of his video, he asked people to forgive him and this and that. Again, it was still a half-hearted apology, and he said that his wife is not fair game. And I understand that whole point about your wife game, and I don't think people should be going after people's wives or anything like that. I don't agree with that, and I don't think that that's what they were doing here. They were just exposing the fact that you made misrepresentations about who your wife was. And I think it's wrong for somebody to go on somebody's stuff and look through their personal pictures and all that stuff. I would never do nothing like that. But now that it's out here, let's deal with it. Now that it's out here, that has to be addressed. The hypocrisy has to be addressed. So, what I'm gonna do is go through your comments before I close this video out. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I have to plug this up because it's running out of power. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go through your comments and then close out. This will probably be my last time addressing this unless something crazy happens. Um, Shout out to Ghost Rider. Shout out to Confidence A1. I see Nikki Justice is putting in work in the chat room. I appreciate that. Apparently somebody was trolling. I'm not gonna shout out the troll's name. So Ali Emmett said, I'm glad this happened because it brought out a lot of inconsistencies to the surface across multiple platforms. Yeah, I mean that's one good thing about this situation. And then Water Sniper said it's just it reveals that all these people who are saying that they're against interracial dating, but now they're creating excuses. Like, yeah, I mean it exposes those people. Like you got that guy. I keep hearing about this guy. I think his name was Amari Brown or whatever. He was trying to make excuses for the guy Phil, and this is one of these people that talk all this black love rhetoric, man. So DJ Wiz said his apology was BS. Don't take jabs at black people, saying we're scared of white people and we're teaming up with white supremacy to take a black man down and then ask us to forgive you afterwards. Exactly. Somebody like that shames black people for calling out their hypocrisy, that tries to suggest that black people are cowards because they're calling him out for his hypocrisy. That's somebody that's not worthy of forgiveness. That's somebody that's not even really seeking forgiveness, man. That's somebody showing their utter disrespect for black people. That's what it is. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, confidence is right. Like his big mistake was trying to pretend like his wife was black and Native American. Like if this guy never put out any videos criticizing interracial relationships, if he never suggested that his wife was black and Native American, nobody would be talking about this stuff. If he just said up front, my wife is a white, Hispanic or whatever, nobody would be talking about this stuff. But it's the hypocrisy and the blatant lies, excuse me, that made this controversial. That's a good point, DJ Wiz. Like he talked about like how his whole thing against interracial relationships, as I pointed out before, was just focused on black people with white people. And DJ Wiz basically points out how he's acting like these other races of people haven't disrespected black people. You know, I mean, in the one breath, he's talking about like black people not having the courage to call out Asians and call out Arabs and call out all these other people. And then in the next breath, he's talking about how he's not opposed to interracial relationships with the same people. He's saying that black people don't have the courage to call out. I mean, how is this making any kind of sense, man? Interracial means two different races of people. So what is this guy talking about, man? He's just coming with any kind of cockamamie excuse to justify his BS, man. So Ali Emmett said that he took down those videos challenging Umar. They're gone from his channel. Yeah, I mean, because it's like, how you gonna call out Umar about hypocrisy or about this or that when you don't want to even hold yourself accountable for your own hypocrisy? Lonnie One Love said he's a fraud. He do call people out. Actually, he sent his followers to call them out too. Exactly. Yeah. How are you gonna be calling people out and all this and stuff? And then when it's time for you to get called out, all of a sudden you got a problem with it. All of a sudden you got all kinds of issues with it. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, Ali. I mean, it's like he's talking about people putting out his wife and this and that when he has no problem putting airing other people out and stuff. And it's just so much hypocrisy, man. And I think most people see it, most people get it, but there's a lot of people that still support him. Like I was reading all those comments of all those people still supporting this guy, still coming up with excuses for him, and it's just pathetic, man. Yeah, and DJ Wiz said they were all getting AdSense money on videos that had nothing to do with him prior to this. What makes him so special? Exactly. He's just trying to toot his own horn. Exactly, man. Yeah, his subs aren't going to decrease. I agree with that, Elaine Lloyd. Some people are going to still watch him and stuff like that. And it's just it's funny how I mean it's good that most people had the courage to call him out, but I just noticed like how some people are all delicate with this when it was if it was anybody else, they would have just been more upfront and go after him. But because of his subs and how they want to leverage his audience, they're all like soft shoeing and not going hard. They're beating around the bush or outright just supporting this guy. And it's just it's just funny seeing how people react to certain things. Well, Soupo said, well, you can see that Chrissy is easing over to the Swirlers camp, so maybe Phil will do that. Um, I don't know, man. They ain't gonna show him no love over there. I'll tell you that right now, because they're like celebrating, and the way they're celebrating is just like it reminds me of that scene from the Wiz when the evil witch is dead, and they like singing "It's a brand new day" and they're dancing around. That's how they're acting right now over this controversy involving Phil, man. So I don't know if he's gonna be able to get that audience. Yeah, and DJ Wiz pointed out how he did a video about a black man who was killed in China for dating a Chinese woman, and that's an example of an interracial relationship that doesn't involve a white person, and he was speaking out against that. So, hey, yeah, I would mention that. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Elaine Lloyd, about what's her name, and I think there's some validity to what you're saying. I'm not gonna mention her name anymore. I don't want to get sidetracked into a whole nother issue. So somebody's, yeah, I'm going to catch that later. I'm going to catch that later, and I may talk about that. But it's not much difference between those two YouTubers, man. One just like outright devotes her channel to swirling, and the other one um, is still open to it and somewhat supportive of it, but doesn't like make it make the white man out to be their savior or anything. That's the only slight difference between the two. Thanks, Nikki Justice. Shout out to you. Yeah, get those likes up. Um, you know, shout out to the True Royal family. Um, thanks for supporting me, Nikki Justice. I appreciate it. Nikki Justice is putting in work in the chat room. I appreciate it. Saving me the trouble of having to read those comments. DJ Wiz said he used the typical Hotep defense when he was called out. Black people are trying to take other black people down. Exactly. That's what they do. Try to guilt you into silence, man. Yeah, I kind of feel you on that, Lane Lloyd. Like his voice, like the country accent. I mean, it is like hard to listen. Like I'm not like a big, I wasn't like a big follower of his. Even though I was subscribed to his channel, like I would only watch like some super controversial video that he would do, like because like the average stuff. It's just like that thick Southern accent is like annoying to me. Thick, slow Southern accent is, hard for me to follow. Not hard for me to follow, but just kind of annoying to me. But that's just me. But he has good content. He has a lot of stories about important issues and stuff like that. I won't take that away from him, but I feel what you're saying. Um, it's just a shame, man, that he got called out as a hypocrite, man. I just wish we had more real people on here. I mean, there are a lot of real people on YouTube. I just wish there were more, man. It's just like too many phonies on here, man. These fake pro-black type people that are just straight up hypocrites, man. They're not who they pretend to be. Um, DJ Wiz said, claiming that that woman was black. Um, you might as well marry Rachel Dolezal. Yeah, man. Somebody said he's all about Lonnie. One Love said he's all about the green, and I could see that. Be intellectual said, "Am I blocked? I still see you on here. I don't think you're blocked. I didn't block you." Yeah, it's hard to take him seriously, man. Shout out to only Alyssa W. Thanks for your comment about me making excellent points. Um, Covina Man said, feels harmless. You mentioned that there are evil and awful people on YouTube, but Phil is harmless compared to some of those other people. Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, it's just the hypocrisy again, man. It's just the lies. If it wasn't for the lying and the hypocrisy, again, nobody would be talking about this stuff. Um, yeah, so somebody, Kendra Stuckey said, Phil and all like him jump on the pro-black bandwagon for almighty dollar, for money, basically. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm curious as to what all those trolls were saying that Nikki took out. I'm glad you took took them out, so I don't even have to see. Yeah, and then he did use some black women. Like he actually showed clips of these black women. This one black woman defending him. I mean, when I see videos like that, I'm just like wondering what are these women thinking? Like, why are they defending him? I mean, it's no different. I mean, it's slightly different, but I mean, just like you got black people defending a Tommy Sotomayor, for instance. I mean, it's just something I don't understand. Oh yeah, somebody said that during a live stream, he mentioned that the only reason why he was talking on a negative tip type um, posture towards interracial relationships is because Donald Trump was in the White House. And I'm just like, wow, man, really? That's just so. That sounds so ridiculous and so retarded, man. It doesn't make any kind of sense at all. And then somebody said, still learning said Phil lied and then tried moving the racial goalposts with that DNA test crap. Exactly. And I think part of the reason why, like, why he keeps throwing up this Native American thing is because he knows that there's like a segment within the pro-black community of these Aborigine wackos that think black people were are Native people and that we're not from Africa and this and that. He's trying to play to that crowd with all that Native American mumbo jumbo. Um, Yeah, those women are pathetic, man. It's like, this supporting this guy, man. Actually doing videos defending a man that has done videos disrespecting black women in the past. And then, despite talking all this black love stuff, he's laying down with, Pocahontas and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just a trip, man. Anyway, man, let me quit before I get carried away. Ali Emmett said he suspected people knowing his wife's race might stop his bag, so he lied. Plain and simple. Exactly, man. I think there's something to that. I think there's definitely something to that. Yeah, so Nikki Justice said, I'm sorry if you felt that way. It's placing the blame on your own perception, relieving himself of responsibility. Exactly. That's exactly what he was doing by saying, well, I'm sorry if you felt such and such way, if you felt this or that way. It's basically saying, well, you are the problem. You and your feelings and your perception is the real issue. It's not what I did or didn't do. Yeah. Lonnie One Love said, when I seen Phil's wife's DNA, I was cracking the fuck up. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Yeah, somebody said this happens every year just with a different character. Yeah, there's always something crazy going on here on YouTube, man. Like every other year is something. Whether it's always some kind of crazy drama here in Black YouTube land, man. It's like you had that whole thing. I'm just gonna run through a couple of them that were real, well, not funny, but crazy. Like you had the one with Crystalline Cares and the Veganator, where she was crying alligator tears on YouTube. You know what this other YouTuber refers to as YouTube tears. That was hilarious. You had the beef between what's his name? Those two Hotep guys, Umar Johnson and Sharon Super Spaghetti, where the incident where Umar was on a conversation on the phone with some pretend, non-existent thugs, pretending like he was going to call some people to make some moves and all this and that. So yeah, there's always some little drama, some little expose. You had the Charles Wu thing with your man Moise Watkins. So it's always something going on here, man. And it's just the latest example, man. I mean, how I'm just like, how more ridiculous can something be than this type of situation where you got a guy who does video after video condemning interracial relationships and he's in an interracial relationship, man. How does that make any kind of sense at all, man? And then somebody said Phil basically put the blame on his audience. Exactly. DJ Wiz said Tommy is more real than Phil is. he stuck to the coon character all the way through. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you can't say that. In some way, I get your point, man. All right. Yeah, somebody said Phil's not charismatic at all. He's barely articulate. I can't argue with that at all, man. So why he has an audience and why people will continue to follow him is like, the biggest question in the world, man. Like, for me, man, it's just something else. I mean, because to me, like, the guy sounds a little bit like that character from Forrest Gump. The character that's talking about shrimp. Like he makes, he rattles off all these names of different type of shrimp, and the strong Southern accent. That's who he reminds me of. But hey, that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to start just going on some roast session or anything. I want to try to stick to the points. Um, yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. Lonnie One Love said he thinks black people are gullible. Exactly. Only Alyssa W said when Phil said his wife didn't know what Afro Latina was, that was a complete insult to his audience, and folks bought that crap. Exactly, man. These some people are just so gullible they'll believe anything, anything, man. Yeah. So True Royal pointed out how she did a lot of videos on both of them genre. Yeah, and I did too. So like people, he wants to pretend like nobody's talking about these important issues about black people being killed by the police. He's trying to say that because people calling him out. He wants you to be deflected and start talking about that instead of talking about him and his hypocrisy. When the fact of the matter is, like most of us that are criticizing him, as I said before, have done videos on all these issues that are of importance to our community. Um, so Master P said, "Phil, sneak dissing you, brother." I don't know. I don't know if he even watches me. Let's see. Somebody said he didn't show his wife in any of those pictures when he was in Africa. He knows the optics optics are just wrong, man. I mean, yeah, this guy goes to Africa, you know. Again, like this whole pro-black thing, man, and then his wife is nowhere to be seen, man, for obvious reasons. Master P said, now Phil says we're not on code for calling him out. I mean, I think that whole term being on code is a way to silence people and to get people to stop thinking critically and stuff like that. Um, I just think that whole idea, even though I understand the concept behind it, I just think that whole idea is ridiculous, man. People should be called out on their hypocrisy. People should be called out when they are wrong, regardless of what race they are and stuff like that. Um, and I don't think that you create unity by putting on a show and a fake show of unity. Stuff like that has to be called out, man. Hypocrites should be called out, and hypocrites shouldn't be trusted with leadership. All right, I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon, y'all. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I got this cold, so bear with me. I'm sorry, I'm sniffling on this video. Oh man. Somebody said, oh, Lonnie One Love said, that's why Jay Miller speaks out, disagreed with him about interracial dating. He knew his wife is white. Yeah, see, that's the point. Like, I wouldn't make a big deal about like somebody like a Jay Miller speaks out being with a white wife because I mean, having a white wife because he's not on here pretending to be Mr. Militant, Mr. Pro Black, Mr. I hate interracial relationships. He's not on here hosting people that hold those kind of views or pretending to espouse those kind of views. So again, I wouldn't him. You know, his situation is completely different from Phil's situation. He's not on here hiding. He's telling people his situation and all that stuff, being upfront about his wife's identity and stuff. So, yeah, so I mean, so I can understand how he would call out a Phil from the Advice Show for his hypocrisy as well. And again, you know, I wouldn't have any issue with a Jay Miller speaks out or anybody like that. It's just the blatant hypocrisy and lies, man. Somebody said, well, why are your mods blocking people that aren't even trolling? I'm sure if Nikki Justice is blocking you, it's for a good reason, man. Somebody said, Cynthia G said white women are trash collectors when they date black men. I want to know if she considers Phil trash. Well, she did a video about him. Um, and even though she was holding him accountable, she was still like um, not going hard on him. You know, she was still holding back because if she wanted to, she could absolutely go ham on him if she wanted to. She was kind of chill in that video, man. And if she really said that quote that you're providing, I wonder what she thinks about her own brother because she did a video where she was talking about her own brother has like 6 kids with 6 different white women or something like that, something crazy like that. I mean, does she consider him to be trash? But that's a whole nother subject, man. Let me just chill. Um, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it a night, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. There's a lot of comments here. I'm not going to be able to get to them, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in. You know, I appreciate your support. And this will probably be the last video where I address this Phil from the Advice Show issue. I did one video on my I Declare War channel. You can check that one out. Subscribe to my I Declare War channel as well. Support that channel. I plan to post again on there regularly. So subscribe to that channel. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Again, I want to thank you all for your support and for watching this video. Peace.